Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Eleanor and today I want to tell you about all the books on my TBR that I've had for a long time and still haven't read yet. And this is in a way to tell you what these books are and to force me to read them. It's more about accountability. I've had some of these books for a few years now and a few of them are very popular books, very popular young adult books that are floating around on booktube and have been for many years, and I bought them because I thought I would like them and because everyone else was reading them and I thought I needed to join in. And clearly I've had them for a long time and I still haven't read them, so maybe they aren't quite for me because I never seem to come to the right time to actually read them. So without further ado, the first book I have is The Final Empire by Sanderson, which is the first book in the Mistborn trilogy. And I really do think I will like this because it's high fantasy, but it's young adult, so I believe it'll be easier to get into. But they're quite large books and the series are quite long, and Brandon Sanderson has written a lot of books. And I haven't actually read anything by him before, but I believe he will be an author I will like. So I am still wanting to read this. I just haven't been in a very big high fantasy mood lately. I've been more so into urban fantasy and supernatural, paranormal and sci-fi. Instead, I have not been in much of a high fantasy mood, so this is still very much on my radar. I do want to get to it. I'm just putting this on this list just to make sure I get to it eventually. The next book I've had for quite a while is The Bourne Queen by Alison Croggon. Now this is a prequel book to a series called The Books of Pelennor, which is a 4-book series that I first read when I was maybe 12 or 13, and it's a series I absolutely loved, and I read all 4 of them back to back, and I've reread them many times since, but it was only in the last couple of years I realised that the author wrote a prequel, but I still haven't read it, and this is definitely something I really want to get to because one of the main characters in the original 4-book series, this is his adventures when he was younger that are alluded to in that original series. This is him as a young man and his battles with evil that he had. So I am very much wanting to read this. Again, I just haven't been in the right mood for it. But I love this world and I really love this series and I really want to get to it, but again, it's just not happened recently. The next book I have is called A Fine Balance. Now, I really can't say this name. Rohinton Mistry? I'm very sorry. Now, this is a book that I didn't pick up myself. A couple of years ago, I was involved in an anonymous book swap where you sent someone a book that you absolutely loved and you wrote on the front why you loved it and recommended it to them. So I sent a book. I sent A Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Can't believe I forgot. And I really recommended that because I thought that would be, I didn't want to send a really high fantasy book because not everyone could get into that, but I thought that was a good middle book because it's a bit historical, a bit of a romance with a bit of magic. It was a bit of everything. I thought it would be a good book for just about anyone. And this is the book I received in return, and it's set in mid-1970s in India, and it's very political and just very much not something I would ever read, but I'm loath to get rid of it because the person who sent it to me did write in the front that they thought why they loved it, and I would like to give it a chance, but it's really not something I would ever pick up, so I'm kind of stuck. Let me know if you've read it and tell me what you think, but I would like to try it sometime and form my own opinion on whether or not I should continue with it. So that's why it's still on this list and I've had it for a very long time and not read it yet. The next book on this list is the Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare. So it's Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. A good few years ago now, read the first 6 books in the Shadowhunters series and I really liked them, but I read them all back to back and although it was fun to read them back to back, it was a lot. So I wanted to take a break before going on to the prequel series set in Victorian era. But again, I've just now not done that. I've not started this trilogy, and I now know there's Cassandra Clare has continued on this world. She's written more for this prequel series set in Victorian era. She's written, I think, another 3 books. I don't know if they're all out yet. So I would like to get to this because I love the Shadowhunters world. I loved the premise. I just thought it was really interesting, and I'm quite interested to see how it would be in a more historical setting and to learn more history about this world, because there's so many books in this world and I would like to get to them all, but I have to read this first. So I want to get to this at some point, but it's quite overwhelming because they're very large books and there's a lot more books to this series and I just haven't got there yet. Now the next book I'm quite embarrassed to admit I haven't read yet, and it's Beren and Luthien by J.R.R. Tolkien. This was released by Christopher Tolkien a few years ago, and I've got a beautiful edition and it's signed and it's just lovely, and I haven't read it yet. Lord of the Rings is a kind of series that I absolutely love and I do come back to again and again, but because it's such high fantasy, because it's very dense writing and very lyrical and very deep and heavy, which aren't bad things, you just have to be in the right frame of mind to read them, in my opinion, for me personally. And I just haven't quite been there yet, and I haven't just taken the time to sit down and read it. And because it's a hardback, this isn't a book that I would take to work and read during my lunch break at work, which is usually where I get most of my reading done, is during my lunch break. So I wouldn't be taking this with me, so to spend the time to read this at home hasn't quite happened yet, but I do want to get to this, because there's a few other Lord of the Rings books I've had for many years that I haven't got to yet, and this is going to be a beautiful story. I know I'm going to love it, and my sister makes fun of me a wee bit because I've not read it yet, because she's a big Tolkien fan as well, so I'm sad that it's on this list, but on this list it is. And the next book on this list is The Demon King by Cinda Chima. Now this book is widely praised on BookTube, and I think Regan from Peru's Project talks about it the most out of all the BookTube people I watch. She loves the series, she loves Cinda Chima, and it just really interests me over the last few years to read it. And in the last month or so I started it and tried to read it, but I just wasn't in the mood for it. So I'll need to try again at some other time to see if I want to actually continue and finish it and maybe read the whole series or not. I'm not quite sure whether this is for me or I'm in the right mood for it right now. But yeah. And the last book on this list is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. Now this is a book I've had the longest out of all the ones that I have here. Again, I've been watching BookTube for years and years, and this is a book that is much beloved by everyone in the community, and I bought it because everyone else loved it. But then reading the back and looking more into it, I thought maybe this isn't for me because it is not heavily plot based, or it's more about the characters and all this, that and the next thing. And obviously some of those ideas I had about the books weren't quite right. It has got a plot and it's got a lot going on, but me having the wrong impression of the book in my head made me not think it would be for me, so I've just not picked it up yet. But I'm hoping to get to this soon because my sister's recently listened to the first couple on audiobook and she really likes them and thinks that I would too, so I want to get to the series at some point. But again, I just haven't been in the mood, and that can sum up my whole reading for the last month. With everything that's going on in the world right now, I just have not been able to concentrate or read anything. I started like 6 or 7 books at once and just couldn't focus my attention on anything. So I'm hoping in the next couple of months, once things progress and change and calm down and I relax a bit, I can maybe pick up some of these books. I have many more books on my Goodreads want to read list, but I don't physically own them, so I don't feel like they count as much as being on my TBR the longest. These are the books I physically went out and bought with the intention of reading at some point, and I haven't got to them yet. Let me know if any of these books are books that you think I should really prioritise and I should get to soon. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.